right now at 7.
Well, tonight should be a very busy holiday travel night. Instead, people at SFO have to pass through quarantine. Will they follow the rules? 10 days. We're live.
We had suspected that it may be heading in that direction.
I am really, honestly, personally hurt for our children.
And what we just learned about San Francisco schools that has the mayor very upset tonight. Plus, new body camera video of a deadly election night police shooting in the East Bay, the brazen crime spree moments before. And a wild chase caught on camera, the suspect's desperate attempt to escape.
He's in the water. He jumped in the water.
And right now on the KPIX 5 News at 7 and streaming on CBS Bay Area, more than 40,000 new California cases and 300 deaths in the past 24 hours. The positivity rate could hit 12% by the weekend.
2,578 people have lost their lives just in the last 2 weeks. A reminder of how deadly this pandemic is, how deadly this disease is, and how we are battling our way through the peak of this third wave, and how we still have a lot of work to do.
Good evening, I'm Ken Bastida. Elizabeth is off tonight. Your smartphone might have gone off with this loud emergency alert today. It said that all Bay Area counties are now under the state's stay-at-home order until at least January 4th. And tonight, there's also some new rules for travelers. KPIX 5's Andrea Borba joins us live from SFO. Andrea?
Well, Ken, tonight should be one of the busiest travel nights of the year, with a typical 80,000 passengers moving through SFO. The airport only expects under 20,000 people to walk through their doors today, and those arriving in the Bay Area have new quarantine rules that they now have to follow. The passengers arriving at SFO this holiday season aren't being greeted by a crush of humanity or an overflowing baggage carousel, but a mandatory 10-day quarantine.
San Francisco and Santa Clara counties now require a 10-day quarantine upon arrival.
We had suspected that it may be heading in that direction. Obviously, the trend was heading towards something of that nature.
SFO recorded their overhead announcement yesterday following San Francisco's new quarantine rules with a very specific audience in mind.
People that live in the Bay Area that were thinking about traveling out of the Bay Area are probably well aware of the health restrictions, the requirements that are in place here. This was really more targeted for people that may be coming from outside California into the Bay Area to inform them and educate them.
At baggage claim, we found folks arriving were well aware of the mandatory 10-day quarantine that awaited them. Nikki will be staying in a cottage on her parents' property until time has passed and she can get tested.
And we all pre-grocery shop, so we don't really have to go anywhere. So hopefully it'll be a safe situation.
KT and her husband Branch are headed to Connecticut for Christmas and already have a safety net in place for their arrival back to the Bay Area.
Instacart probably. I go to grad school and most of my classmates are in the same building. So we've had a mutual aid chat, and for anyone who needs to stay at home, everyone's been quarantining really well and helping each other out to drop off groceries outside the apartment door so that all contact is at as absolutely minimal as it can be.
Now, SFO has set up a website, flysfo.com/quarantine, to explain what the rules are county by county, because of course they do vary. Santa Clara and San Francisco counties require a quarantine at the moment, while other Bay Area counties do not. If you have questions, check out that website. It will cut through the wheat and the chaff. Live here at SFO, Andrea Borba, KPIX 5.
Let's hope it makes a difference in some way, all right? Thank you, Andrea. Take a live look at San Francisco tonight. The mayor says that she is pretty frustrated after learning some public schools will not be reopening for in-person learning next month. The reason? The district failed to strike an agreement with the teachers union to start in late January for second grade and younger, and for those with disabilities. The union doesn't think in-person learning is safe until San Francisco can get back into the state's orange tier, but the school board and the city are both saying the schools can safely reopen now in the purple tier.
I am really, honestly, personally hurt for our children and what they are experiencing. It's bad enough that adults are, of course, struggling, with this pandemic, mentally, emotionally. Just imagine what our children are dealing with.
Well, superintendent issued this statement saying, in part, we will continue to work hard to offer a safe in-person learning opportunity to our students and will meet as much as possible with our labor partners to complete bargaining. The school district has a January deadline to come up with a plan for older students returning to the classroom. Mayor Breed noted that dozens of private schools in the city have been holding in-person classes with no major COVID outbreaks. Meanwhile, California's next shipment of the Pfizer vaccine will be dramatically smaller than what the state expected. As of tonight, it's not clear exactly why. Late today, Santa Clara County told KPIX 5 that it's getting 44% fewer doses than expected, and San Francisco says it's getting 40% fewer doses. But Pfizer insists there is no shortage.
So there's been a point of frustration, friction, to be candid with you. We were told yesterday by CDC HHS that they're cutting that by 40%. We talked to Pfizer ourselves directly that they claim they have more vaccines, but are not getting the authorization from the federal government.
U.S. Department of Health and Human Services says it's trying to clear up misunderstandings with state governors, but that their allocation numbers have never changed. Well, make sure that you download the KPIX 5 app to get the very latest on the vaccines and the surging cases as we head into the holidays. Some new body camera video just in from a deadly police shooting in Oakland, but first, a warning, the video is a bit graphic. The shooting happened on election night. It shows an officer that was rammed and pinned by a suspect driving a white sedan. Officers ended up opening fire and killing that driver.
Stay on the ground! Get down! Get down!
Police say the shooting happened in Oakland's Webster neighborhood as part of a crime spree that targeted cannabis businesses. Police say the man that ran over the police officer, 20-year-old Jonathan Torres Ramirez, was part of a caravan of armed robbers that night. Police say when officers tried to detain him, the suspect, Torres, rammed his car into one of them.
Get on the ground!
Police say 4 officers were injured in that ordeal. Over a dozen people were arrested. Alameda County DA's office is still investigating. An Oakland man is now facing a laundry list of charges for a crime spree spanning 3 counties that ended in the San Francisco Bay, literally. Video from a CHP helicopter shows the final moments of a wild chase. Suspect, Webster Johnson, the man runs into the San Francisco Bay, jumps in, waving his arms as he starts swimming in the frigid water. After about a minute, he decided it wasn't a good idea and surrendered to police.
He's in the water. He jumped in the water. They're taking him into custody now.
Police say he was involved in a robbery that turned into a shooting in Solano County on December 9th. Then he robbed a Vallejo liquor store earlier this week and took police on a chase all the way to Berkeley. Coming up next, the Bay Area college football team that is about to play the biggest game in its school's history. Why the coronavirus pandemic may have actually given the players a boost.
Really, it was shocking for all of us. We didn't know what the season looked like.
And some new moves just made on Capitol Hill, what lawmakers just agreed to, and what still needs to be hammered out. And then later,
for a family restaurant, $10,000 is definitely enough money to keep us open.
This grant program is pure grant, pure free money.
How one Bay Area city is able to give its businesses $10,000 that they never have to pay back.
And coming up in the forecast, we have to look pretty far out to find our next chance of rain. But on the bright side, at least we can see a next chance of rain coming up in the long-range forecast. We're going to play this through. Coming right up.
Well, they're calling it the biggest game in San Jose State University football history. Tomorrow, the Spartans will appear in the Mountain West Championship game for the first time ever. Dennis, these are the upstart Spartans. What are their chances against Boise State? It's a good squad.
First of all, Ken, never listen to the experts. San Jose State was picked to finish 10th in the conference. Instead, they haven't lost a game all season. And the players have been away from home for over a month. The head coach, Brett Brennan, said sometimes that's not a bad thing.
My wife actually celebrated when I was moving my stuff out of the house, but I'm just kidding.
I can relate to that, Coach. The entire team is used to living out of a suitcase, now staying in Las Vegas and Santa Clara County, banned contact sports. But the Spartans have been preparing for this. They had training camp at Humboldt State way back in October, and that's where the team bonding actually began, even if some of the players had no idea where they were going.
I had no clue where Humboldt was. Someone had to show me on a map where Humboldt was, and I'm not from California, so I didn't know what to bring. I was asking the coaches, do I bring a fan? Is it cold up there? Is it hot up there? What's going on? And so really it was shocking for all of us. We didn't know what the season looked like. We knew we were going to have a season. That's all we knew, and that's all we needed really for us to get fired up and get ready for the season.
Now for the opponent, Kenny. This will be the third straight championship appearance for Boise State. They're 6.5-point favorites. They're big kids on the block, but people have counted out the Spartans all season. Why not one more upset tomorrow? Game time kickoff, 1:30 p.m. Kenny?
Yeah, it's amazing that they got there, and in this day and age of COVID, the adversity they had to overcome to do it is, it's winning enough right now.
I
Maybe
keep saying the best sports story in the Bay Area.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Dennis. Let's take a live look outside from San Francisco. And it's what we've seen the last several weeks with a few minor exceptions, Darren Peck. I know you said you were far out. Well, you're looking far out. Find me some rain, will you?
We've got to look towards just past the 7-day, Ken. And before I even get to that, let's set the stage. Let's get oriented on what rainfall should have looked like in the Bay Area so far. We start measuring the rain on October 1st. That's our water year, from October 1st all the way through the next September. That way we include the whole winter. Look how different it is across the Bay Area. Latitude matters. Santa Rosa, you should have gotten 10 inches, 10.25 so far. San Francisco, on average, should have only had 6 inches, and San Jose should have had 4 inches. So now that we can see this is not an equal playing field, let's see how we've actually done. Santa Rosa, how much of that 10.25 have you gotten so far? 3.25. Do the math on that, you're at 31% of where you should be. San Francisco, it's the similar story. A little over 2 inches, that places you at 30%. And for San Jose in the south, it's not even as good as that. 21% of average so far. So let's talk about this next chance. The Pacific looks good right now. There's a long stretch of clouds on the other side of the Pacific streaming our way. Only problem with that is most of that's going into the Pacific Northwest this weekend. It's going to be very rainy up there, in fact, but that's their story. Let's get to us. We're going to play this all the way through till we get past to the last day of this. In fact, one day past the 7-day forecast, and we start looking at next Saturday, and now there's our chance for rain. It's too early to start looking at that as a specific forecast. This is not a specific forecast that it's going to rain on December 26th. However, we're close enough now we can start getting hopeful. There's reason enough to know that should be watched as we get towards Christmas, and just know we could get back into the storm track, but it's going to be after the holiday or right at the end of Christmas. In the meantime, look where it's going to rain between now and Christmas Day. It's going to rain a lot up here. It's not going to rain at all down here. In terms of the short term and the weekend, just like today. Right now, temperatures mid-40s to low 50s. It's going to be cold again tonight in those North Bay valleys. Santa Rosa, you got to go to 30 again. Concord and Walnut Creek will go to 34. Numbers in the South Bay and for inland Alameda County will be in the mid-30s, and we'll go to the low to mid-40s for much of the rest of the Bay. And daytime highs tomorrow, you might actually get a few mid-60s on here. Santa Rosa could do that, but most other places are low 60s, and morning lows are pretty much right around upper 50s. All right, let's get into that 7-day forecast. And there's no rain on it. But by Friday, which is Christmas Day, clouds start to increase a bit there, and then past that, we start to get into a more favorable pattern for rain. And that's good because we are falling way behind. More on this coming up later tonight at 11. Ken, back over to you.
All right, Darren, thanks for that. Here's a look at your top headlines tonight. Live look at Capitol Hill, where Congress just passed a 2-day government funding extension to avoid a shutdown at midnight. The lawmakers are still trying to buy more time while they negotiate on a nearly $900 billion coronavirus relief package. A vote could happen on Monday.
I believe all sides feel we're making good progress on a major relief bill that would travel with the full year appropriations measure. But alas, we are not there yet.
The American people cannot wait any longer.
Just a little while ago, the FDA approved the country's second coronavirus vaccine for emergency use. The company, Moderna, expects to ship almost 6 million doses that could start arriving as early as next week. Vice President Mike Pence, now the highest-ranking U.S. official to get the shot. He rolled up his sleeve during a live TV today and reassured Americans it is safe.
The way through this challenging time is vigilance and a vaccine.
Meanwhile, at the White House tonight, President Trump says he won't get vaccinated until it's recommended by the White House medical team. No word when that will be. President-elect Joe Biden and his wife are scheduled for their first doses on Monday, and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris will have her vaccine the following week. And still to come, the East Bay neighbors in a battle tonight against Costco, what they are trying to stop.
At first, I'm kind of worried about the traffic, but I think it'll be fine.
I just don't think that it's pretty necessary.
Also, an East Bay City is giving its struggling businesses free cash, $10,000. How it all works. And then later, Raiders head coach John Gruden says he was the butt of a bad joke during last night's overtime loss.
Somebody played a pretty good trick on me.
Live look at the city of Dublin, where they are giving out $10,000 small business grants. And the demand is ballooning, as you can imagine. The money is for brick and mortar businesses that have no more than 50 employees. The program is on a first come, first served basis. 50 businesses had already applied on the city's website by noon. One Dublin restaurant owner says more than 80% of their business is gone, and a grant like this will help them survive.
For a family restaurant, $10,000 is definitely enough money to keep us open.
This grant program is pure grant, pure free money. It really helps us help them.
I'm a third generation in this business. This is probably the toughest it's been. It's a family livelihood, so it's very important. You know, we would hate to shut down.
There's a battle brewing over a new gas station in the East Bay. The San Ramon Planning Commission approved the Costco station across from the Costco warehouse on Fostoria Way. Just like everything at the store, it's going to be jumbo, 32 pumps across nearly 3 acres. Well, now some neighbors down the street are worried that it will bring too much traffic and noise.
At first, I'm kind of worried about the traffic, but I think it'll be fine.
I actually like it. I think Costco gas stations are great. They have cheap fuel.
I just don't think that it's pretty necessary. I feel the increase of traffic, the increase of tankers, and the need for another gas station when we already have 2 to 3 within a 2-mile radius just seems too much. Don't really see a need for it.
Coming up next, things are getting weird in the NBA. One star player just did a sage cleansing before tip-off. Well, the Raiders lost their game in overtime last night, but the big talk is head coach John Gruden's hat. At one point, he had on an Oakland Raiders hat. He later changed it to a Vegas Raiders hat.
I will say I apologize for not having the right hat on. Somebody played a pretty good trick on me, but I'll answer any questions that I can.
At least it didn't say Glendale 49ers. NBA news, check out Nets guard Kyrie Irving before returning to play the Celtics tonight. He actually burned some sage in the arena in Boston to apparently cleanse the space. Irving spent 2 rocky years in Boston before signing with Brooklyn. Thank you for watching. News continues streaming on CBS and Bay Area. We'll all be back here at 11 o'clock for more. Have a good night.